PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast here on the PLD Projects Network. I am PLD. With me, as always, Matty Gunner, my friend. How are you doing today?
Begun the rewatch has. Begun the rewatch has. This is good. I've been looking forward to us doing this ever since we started talking about, what we're gonna do in the build up to Andor. I was like, we didn't actually cover Andor, other than the conversation that we had with our good friend Adam Witt of the Ford Fiesta podcast, which was I don't even think we were Holy Snokes at the time. Yeah, I think it was. I think we were still Scoundrels of the Force before you sold the name.
The name might have been
a smile in a back rub from Kevin Smets in a bar.
But to be fair, it was Kevin Smets and Sean Sullivan, and I think Brand Hannon might have been lurking in the background somewhere. So,
okay. So you
Frank Janis must have been around at some point too.
But you were shaken down.
I was definitely shaken down. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to shake me down. If you ply me with whiskey, I'm a pretty willing participant. So, not gonna lie.
I'm good. I'm still getting over the trauma of the first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again.
Oh yeah, that's right. That came out this week. I got to watch it. I was excited about that. Benson and Moorhead, who are phenomenal directors. I love their work, and of course, they also did Loki season 2. It's funny. I watched the first two. PJ is just watching them now. Our friend show, and my fellow middle-aged geek, PJ Campbell's just finally watching after he watched Daredevil season 3. He had to Hawkeye again. He watched Echo finally for the first time, getting into it, and we both noted how we know that Benson and Moorhead took over after the first go at it when it was somebody else that was showrunning it. And there's not a lot of Benson and Moorhead in the first couple episodes because they had to take over and use a lot of stuff that was already shot. But man, they really focused it and tightened it up. And I'm traumatized already. I hated it the very beginning. I hated it. No spoilers. I hated it. But even it's funny because they said in an interview, Benson and Moorhead said, "Look, this happened. This wasn't us. This happened before we got here." Shot the real time on the bus. So it had nothing to do with it, but they had to keep it in there for the story purposes, I guess. But yeah, it was great. It's great to have Daredevil back.
So Born Again is my favorite comic book run of all time.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
It is my absolute favorite. There's some stuff that happens to Karen in the book that I don't think they'd be able to show even on an R-rated series because it is still Disney.
Right.
I think that they did this to Foggy to kind of
alleviate that,
supplement that, and I fucking hate it. It being done in the first 15 minutes.
Right.
I hate it in a good way.
Right.
I hate it in a good way that I'm just you motherfucker, because everyone campaigned for the three to be reunited.
Right.
Spoiler alert, Foggy gets murdered by Bullseye in the first 15 minutes of the fucking episode. And I knew it was going to happen because it was as soon as I saw that shot from Matt's perspective when he's talking to Karen and he's goes outside and it's kind of almost like a dolly zoom kind of a shot. And it goes outside and it zones in on what Foggy's saying. I was like, oh no, they said there's something tragic coming. I know. Oh god. But the hallway fight scene, they never go wrong with the hallway fight scene in Daredevil.
Nope. They did a great job of that again. It was visceral, it was violent, it was a bloody dance, as I would say.
He took 20 knives to the chest. He must have been wearing some kind of super Kevlar vest. He took 20 knives to the chest.
Yeah. The funny thing about what you said is that I saw it, I watched it happen. Spoiler. Spoilers. So I was gonna put a spoiler on the show notes now for sure. Hopefully you get upset by that. But it was surprising to me how quickly it happened. But then I just barely had gotten over it, and they put something on Twitter or whatever, how he's coming back. Eldon, the actor, is back in season 2. So I don't know if it's gonna be
Flashback,
flashbacks
probably.
or
Yeah.
something, probably or something like that. But I'm glad we're gonna get more of him, even if like he's no longer with us. And
The diner scene was awesome.
yeah, that was some great.
Awesome. That was like Pacino and De Niro in Heat
Yeah.
level. Awesome.
Not sure I quite put it at that level, but it's in the
Oh, I
ballpark.
would.
I'll put it.
I
I'll
would.
put it in the ballpark. I don't think you can beat De Niro and
You know where there's like, and we will get on the Star Wars part. Like me and Paul haven't had a chance to talk about that, so
Sure.
we're gonna use this time. You know how there's characters that are just like born to play certain people.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr. was born to be Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent D'Onofrio, all due respect to Michael Clark Duncan, he was born to play Wilson Fisk.
Yeah. That's pretty close. He'd be up there in my top 5. I think the only ones: Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, John Bernthal is the Punisher.
Oh God, yeah.
J.K. Simmons.
That episode.
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
Eventually,
Harrison Ford is Indy.
Harrison Ford is Indy. Just on comic book adaptations, though. Those are probably the
Hugh
biggest.
Jackman is Wolverine.
Yeah, I'd put up there. I put D'Onofrio over him, though, as far as like just for pure physicality's sake, because he was a little taller than Logan is, but personality-wise, worked very well, for sure. But yeah, definitely up there. I can't think of any more that I would put over him per se. So yeah, but Chris Evans is up there as Cap, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, he had to earn it. I feel like a lot of them, like when J.K. Simmons came out of J. Jonah Jameson, it was like boom, there's J. Jonah Jameson. Evans over time now has become Cap, maybe, so it might be a little hindsight for me in that way, but yeah.
Chris Evans is to me is still the dude from Not Another Teen Movie.
Nice. I feel bad for Chris Evans. Like how can I feel bad for guys worth $1 billion, not probably or anything? So I don't feel bad.
And looks like the way he looks.
And looks like that is America's ass, for sure. But it feels like he sometimes gets a little short shifted on some of like, because he has some really awesome performances, like in movies like Sunshine and Snowpiercer. Like acting performances wise, I don't think he gets the respect he should get because like,
stop doing movies with The Rock and he might get it.
That's true. You know what though? He also has earned to be able to do it if he wants to have fun with The Rock. Because I've heard that maybe he had a blast with The Rock on there, and hey, if that's what he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. I have no problem with that.
It's like everyone around The Rock can act really well, other than The Rock.
You know what? I will shoot back. The Rock has had some good performances in his career when he's
not playing himself.
100%. But I'm saying he can do it. He's just had a blast. What? Be Cool. When he was in Be Cool, he had that smaller supporting role. He was good in that. His first couple of roles, like Walking Tall, he was actually pretty good overall. And he's doing, if you look at The Rock's future filmography, he is taking a little more of the acting route. He's like taking himself a little more seriously at this point. I'm very curious to see how it goes because I think he can do it. I just think he has so much fun being himself and like being the action star that like that just has dominated the last decade or so. I think he can do it. I think we can see a big comeback from him. I'm not saying he's going to be like an Oscar Academy Award nominated actor or anything like that, but I think he has some good performances in him. And we'll have to see how it goes for sure. Regardless, we're not here to talk about The Rock. We're not here to talk about Daredevil. We're not here to talk about Marvel. Well, kind of actually a little bit about Marvel, but we'll get there. We're here to talk about Star Wars. We are here to talk about upcoming season of Andor, some news, some quotes, all that good stuff before we get into the recap of Andor, which is how we began the conversation. Matt, excited that we're doing the recap, the rewatch. I am also excited to be doing the rewatch as someone. When I was a younger man, I know I'm starting to sound like my parents now. When I was a young boy, yeah, I used to rewatch things all the time. I'm the guy who went to see The Crow like 40 or 50 times in the theater. Every time a Star Wars movie come out, I would see it at least.
Even I haven't watched The Crow that many times.
I know. I would see Star Wars like 10 or 15 times. Like if I had been like 20 when Andor had come out, I would have watched this series back probably about 20 times by now, probably give or take. But as an older man, I don't know if it's about me like facing mortality or realizing there's only a limited amount of time I have on this earth. I just find like I always find like I can rewatch something, but I have so much I want to watch that I want to get to that I haven't watched. So I just don't rewatch it unless it's like a comfort show. like a Doctor Who or like a Ted Lasso, which is kind of like that. I can put it on the background and fall asleep to it kind of thing if I need to, and just kind of like don't worry about it. Andor is not a comfort watch. It's never going to be a comfort watch for sure, but I'm excited. The way I do rewatch things now, only time I generally rewatch things are for podcasts. Me and PJ doing 2 Middle-Aged Geeks on Film. I got to watch Nightmare on Elm Street again because I got to do it for the podcast. I'm about to watch the Superman franchise again. I probably wouldn't be doing that on my own, even though I should. Hell, PJ and I had a conversation. I really, really should have rewatched Daredevil season 3 at the very least before I went to watch.
I didn't do it.
As I feel like it continued directly on. And that night I could, but it definitely felt like when I was watching it, I really should have gone back and at least watched it.
You knew what happened at the end of it, so you didn't really need to.
But it would have been nice to have done it, like in a way. It would have been nice to have done it. Like, so I kind of, again, Superman, James Gunn coming out. I kind of want to watch the Superman movies again. Now I'm forcing myself to by covering the podcast. This way, I'm glad that Kim is always pitching me to rewatch stuff before things come out. Oh, we can always just watch a recap video and we'll be fine for season 2 or whatever it is. And I usually, yeah, that's how I do it usually. Kim's like, we should really watch. I'm like, you know what? Guess what, honey? We're covering Andor for the podcast, so come along. And so we're both doing the rewatch together. And I'm really glad we're doing the rewatch because, man, I remember like I'm going to leave this mostly to our discussion later on, but I felt like I watched it in a new way this time through, and it was very powerful and very fun. Not that I discovered a whole lot of new things, but I was reminded of a few things, and I realized just how damn good this show is, and it's definitely hyped me up for season 2. For sure. And we're doing that this week. We're doing first 3. We are doing it in 3-episode arcs, even though it's not completely like that for season 1. It is like that for season 2. It's mostly like that for season 1. If I remember correctly, it's like a 3-episode arc, 3-episode arc, a one-off 3-episode arc, and then a 2-part type finale. I think that's the difference we have here. But either way, it should be a fun experience for sure. But let's get into it. Let's get into our news first. Obviously, just off the top of our head, I'll cover our news bits that we have. Some big news that came out. A couple of really big pieces of news among some smaller, fun tidbits. First news is going to be a little small, fun tidbit. I like to throw these little mini reviews out there when I get a chance to read new things. The hyperspace story Qui-Gon came out this week. And also Jedi Knights #1 came out from Marvel Comics, and they're both solid reads. My one nitpick I will say about hyperspace Qui-Gon Jinn's one is that the art is very, how to put this, basic. Like there's not a lot of detail to it. It's almost like they rushed through a first draft and like let it go. Like I feel like it's just like the faces don't look very, like sometimes the faces look, it looks like Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor. It does not really look like them very much at all sometimes. There's some times where it's really off. But the story itself is kind of cool. You get to see Qui-Gon. No spoilers for this. So I'm sure a lot of you haven't got a chance to read it yet. But it does have bits and pieces. It's one of those stories that like there's a main mission that's going on, and during that mission, Qui-Gon's telling stories of the past kind of thing a little bit too.
Right.
And so we get like a Qui-Gon and Dooku story part of it, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan earlier on, and it also includes, surprise, surprise, it's a look into the Brotherhood of the Ninth Door from the High Republic, make a kind of appearance in a little roundabout kind of way, which is really kind of cool. I like seeing that connectivity, as you know, because I am still in the High Republic read through during my canon read through. By the way, I am in the Fallen Star about 70% through Fallen Star. I will say right now, this is my first reread of Fallen Star. This is my favorite High Republic book, I think. Wow. I really love this book. I really have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I think it's the disaster aspect of it. It's like the Die Hard aspect, not Die Hard really, more like Armageddon, I guess, kind of aspect. Like it's just like this shit is happening and they got to figure it out. It's got some great story beats from Elzar in there, who I love. I love Elzar, man. I got my boy Leox, Gyasi, and Geode in there. A lot of fun to be had. A lot of it. This actually felt the most like stakes Star Wars wise. Maybe like the Jedi, probably the introduction had a big one. But
you wait.
Since then,
just you wait.
I can't wait to get that. I'm excited now. I'm definitely for sure excited. But so far, I'm reread, noting that I haven't read a lick of Phase 3 yet. This is my favorite one so far for sure. But yeah. So
I love that you're doing this while I'm like ahead of you.
Yeah.
So like I'm discovering, like I'm watching you discover this stuff in real time, and I'm just like, oh buddy, you have no idea what's to come.
I know. I'm excited about it. I'm glad I'm actually glad though. Speaking of rewatches and rereads, that like I remember I told you before I read Phase 2 or Phase 1 when it came out. I reread Phase 2, or I read Phase 2, and then when I was reading Phase 2, I decided just to keep going through and read Phase 1 again chronologically before I got to Phase 3 to kind of remind myself. I'm really glad I did, because I wasn't the hugest fan of Phase 2. Maybe a reread later on will do that for me, maybe, but I just didn't connect with a lot of the characters from Phase 2. Phase 1 is where like all of the characters I know I like. And I know in a way they're kind of doing the whole Lucas thing of like, we're going to start in this part here, then we're going to go back and then we're going to tell. But at the same time, it's like, I didn't love the fact we went all the way through Phase 1 and then went back and had like all these new characters with like very little connection to it. And it's like, well, why I don't really, I want to know what happened to these guys right now. I don't know. But hey, I think the difference is like when Lucas did it, he didn't have like, he wasn't going to do the sequel trilogy. At one point, it was more like he had that definitive ending in Return of the Jedi. Like the definitive ending, Return of the Jedi was like, okay, so now we go back. We know how it ends. I don't know how this ends yet, so I want to know how it ends before I go back and contextualize things at that point. But that's my nitpick. I'm excited to get to Phase 3 for sure. But and while I'm here, I am about 25% of the way through Mask of Fear now. About 30% through Mask of Fear. I'm loving Mask of Fear so far. This is a very fun book. Not fun. Fun's the wrong word for it, but it's a really good in-depth thing. I'm loving the most. We're getting a little bit from Mon, a little bit from Bale, and a little bit from the Saw side of things. I'm loving Mothma's parts the most, I think.
I find myself hitting the play at 2x speed whenever Saw's in there.
The Saw one I'm not loving because first of all, it's not a lot of Saw at this point for me. It's the other Sojin guy that they introduce. Who is a fine character, but I don't have a connection yet to him. Maybe I'll grow. Maybe it's going to grow over the book. I find myself, I agree. I'm kind of like, I'd rather skip this and get to what's Mon doing, what's Bale doing at this point. I love the Mon and Bale relationship is actually pretty interesting at this point. I'm interested to see how that's going to develop or whatever. So, but yeah, I'm loving the book so far. Can't wait to see more on that. So, all right, let's move on to our rest of our news bits. I have another couple of 2 quick fun news bits, if you will. First off, Stephen Knight, more from Stephen Knight. Now, this is a fluff piece. I almost didn't put it in there, but you know what? I decided I want to put the quote out there because I want to hear. I like.
You love the fluff pieces. You love. Don't deny it. You love the fluff pieces.
I've been trying to get better at not doing the fluff pieces too much, but I want to highlight this because our commitment to positivity, right?
You mother fluffer.
So Stephen Knight was working on the New Jedi Order script, and he left, and we never knew why. No one ever really said anything why.
We knew why. He had another movie to go work on.
Well, we didn't know like what was going on necessarily as far as like, was he fired? Did they not like him? What did they like him? There's always the discourse. It's always a discourse, which is always tiring. So it's good to get word from him. This quote sounds not like he is. Like sometimes you have quotes that are like kind of like, yeah, I'm not gonna. Like I know there was a video of, I think it was Benioff and Weiss, and it was kind of obvious from that video that they might have been forced out. Or they did, like I don't think it was necessarily their decision to leave. I think when Mangold stepped up to the prequel movie, it was kind of the same idea that Benioff and Weiss had been developing. But like we had a conversation with them at one point. Somebody asked them about it. They got very close-lipped and very like they didn't want to say anything. You could kind of tell something went down that maybe they don't want to talk about. Stephen Knight was wide open about it. Like, hey, he says. Yeah, he was asked about it. He goes, it was such a great experience. And I'm not just saying this. They're great people. Kathleen Kennedy is a pleasure to work with. Lucasfilm are smart people who know their craft. And for me, it's like a particular discipline in the world of writing and film. In this world, you enter the world, you do your bit, you do your take. And I always do the process, then moves on. So I don't know what of that writing I've submitted is going to end up in whatever the next incarnation of that movie is. It's great just to be there and be a part of it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a happy thing. He liked working Kathleen Kennedy. He praises Lucasfilm. And it sounded like genuine praise. He didn't have to say it. He could have just said, like, I had a good time on it. I don't know what's going on. But no, because he pointed out specifically, Kathleen Kennedy, pleasure to work with. Lucasfilm, smart people, know their craft. Doesn't sound something you would say if you had like an issue with how they're handling your work. And I think that's a good thing to know, that they're treating Lucasfilm treating their executive or their creators well. They're going to want to come back and do more, or other people will want to come and do more. I think that's what I take away from it.
Okay.
You have anything to say?
No, okay.
He's
not writing on the movie anymore. I don't care what he has to say. Get the Peaky Blinders movie in front of my face. Hurry the fuck up.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why he left the project, because
Right.
he had his baby to make. Like, Peaky
Right.
Blinders is his love child. Like,
absolutely.
Get that in front of my face. Like, if they don't use anything he wrote, fine. He's not the writer on the movie anymore. Who cares? Like, it's like when 9/11 happened, and and on the news they were like, "Oh, let's call in Ja Rule." Like, it's like what Chappelle said is like, "Who gives a fuck what Ja Rule thinks at a time like this?"
Right. I get that. That's a fair way, but I like I'd say I don't. It's not that it's important, but I think it's a nice little look into the process.
Do you remember when that happened?
I do remember that.
When the towels came down, they pulled Ja Rule up on the news.
I do remember that. That was ridiculous. Okay, a little bit of news. This is kind of another fun one. This is more of a what could be speculation bet. It's along those lines of the stories you hate. Of course, I like to work on Star Wars, but this guy, Osgood Perkins, son of Anthony Perkins and director of such fine horror establishments as Long Legs and The Monkey, which, by the way, if you haven't seen The Monkey
I haven't seen The Monkey yet. I'm due to see it next Friday, I think.
It is.
But I love Long Legs. Long Legs was very good.
It is a blast. It is unhinged, brilliant, fun. It is, just so you know, it's more comedy horror than like Long Legs.
I'm
It's
cool with
more
that.
comedy horror, but it's fun. It's unhinged, and I loved it. It's my favorite movie of the year, I think, so far. I said,
Are we talking like scary movie?
No, not horror? Not quite parody level. More like a Scream level of like it's got like there's serious aspects to it, but just also way over the top at times that like it's just kind of, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I saw someone saying it's like the most gory horror film in the last 10 years or something.
It's definitely gory. It's definitely a lot gorier than most comedy horror.
Is it Terrifier level gory?
I honestly, I still have not seen Terrifier. Shocking. I know that.
Any of them?
Any of the Terrifiers. I have not seen any of the Terrifiers. I know it's surprising, right? I know.
You and PJ need to cover Terrifier.
I might at some point. You never know. We could do that at some point. So much in our docket already, but yeah. But anyway, back to this particular story. This was actually a better thing because he wasn't asked whether he wanted to work in Star Wars. He was asked a question. The question was, is there a story that you wish you had the budget and technology to make into a movie? And Perkins replied simply on this Reddit Q&A, the collected dreams and nightmares of Darth Vader as told by short stories.
Cool. Like an anthology piece.
Right. And when I heard that, I'm like, I love Osgood Perkins. That sounds like there's always a picture. Why I want a Darth Vader movie? I'm like, we've had 6 Darth Vader movies. We don't need a Darth Vader movie. We really don't. I know they just want Darth Vader going around hunting Jedi and a TV show. They want Darth Vader hunting down Jedi. We don't need that. But this is a pitch of a Darth Vader movie / story that I could actually get behind. It's actually kind of a cool way to tackle it. That wouldn't be just, okay, Darth Vader's going to be a badass and he's going to go slice some Jedi that made it through Order 66. This is actually kind of a cool, like, artistic way to delve into things. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Vader runs of the comic books we've had in a way. Just put as an anthology piece, you put like little pieces and snippets of things. You could have like, think about the potential of that. You could have like returning cast. You could have nightmares, including like Ewan McGregor. You could have nightmares with Luke. You could have a lot of different things you could do. It's probably never going to happen because I don't think you're going to see Star Wars horror.
Just go read the comics because we've had that.
Oh yeah, I would love to see
him going to Naboo to visit Padme's grave,
right?
And end up meeting Sabe again, and
that's kind of cool. I mean, it would be cool to see that on screen. Definitely.
Pretty sure he kills Watto at one point. Like
that hasn't happened yet, I don't think. But that's what's talked about.
I think in one of the comics he goes to Tatooine and he kills Watto.
That's gonna happen. That's in the Legacy of Vader book. Supposedly.
Okay.
They're going to talk about, I guess that was thrown out there that like when Kylo visits, he finds out that Vader did this kind of thing. I think it would be a cool artistic way to do it. And Osgood Perkins is a great director that I've seen. So it'd be fun to have that eventually tackled. I don't think it's going to happen, but I was piqued. I was interested and it would be kind of cool. So
if there's going to be a Star Wars horror, Joseph Scrimshaw needs to direct it.
Well, that would be good too. I mean, Joseph Scrimshaw is also an awesome person as well. But I think you would say that Osgood Perkins, a private director, would be good too. So
I'm just saying personally, it has to be Joseph Scrimshaw to do it.
Right.
On principle.
Though, let's be honest. I mean, how much I love Joseph Scrimshaw, Oscar Perkins is probably closer to making it happen than Joseph Scrimshaw is at this point in his career.
I don't know.
You don't know.
No,
Oscar Perkins, who has made
I
several feature films, and Joseph Scrimshaw, who's made some wonderful films. Like Disney doesn't know Joseph Scrimshaw, just know who Oscar Perkins is.
He has. It's him. He's the one. He's the chosen one.
You are interesting.
I support my friends, man.
I'm not supporting him. I love that. I'm just saying. But I think even Joseph Scrimshaw would point out factually.
We need to put it out there in the universe.
Factually,
he's the one that's going to do it, and it will happen. We manifest it. It will happen.
Well, hey, hopefully it does.
And hopefully we get a cameo.
Yeah, there you go. I wouldn't, because obviously I'm not supporting him now, I guess. So
no, you're a terrible friend.
Terrible friend. I'd love to see it happen, but we can have. Why not both?
Why not both?
There you go. I'll go with that. All right. Next up, I have to eat some crow. Potentially.
Yes, you do.
And
I'm going to sit back and enjoy my.
Admit
I was right.
I believe you were right.
Continue.
Still not over. It's still not over yet. But
I'm pretty sure it's over.
There's some conspiracies I have here.
Yeah.
They did announce 4 major panels with advanced reservations, which are replaced in the lottery system in Japan for Star Wars Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my gut, which doesn't fail me very often, but kind of seemed to fail me here, is I thought with all the Kathleen Kennedy talk, with nothing having been announced past Mandalorian Grogu and Ahsoka season 2, that we would get a lot of news bits here. I was thinking we would be a big panel. Maybe we would finally get the announcement of Sean Levy. Maybe we would finally get the announcement of different potential projects that are going on. But according to the panels that are, I assume the biggest panels we're going to get, because they're the ones that are the reservations only, that's not going to happen, because we have 4 major panels on Friday. There's going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu panel. Knew that was going to happen. I am still of the assumption, and I don't trust my gut anymore about Celebration, so I don't know anymore. I kind of feel like the public might even get a teaser out of that.
I think sure. Yeah.
I think you guys in Celebration will absolutely get a trailer footage. They're going to do a big deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the public gets it, I don't know, but I kind of feel like the public would at least get the first teaser. That's what I think. But a big panel with Mandalorian and Grogu. We're going to talk about all the casting news there. I'm sure that's going to be a big thing. We might see a bunch of the cast show up. That's going to be a lot of stuff, because that's what they're pushing. It's what they're really pushing for the following year, especially since there won't be a Celebration in 2026. I don't believe they're doing like every other year now.
No,
so it's probably going to be 2027 for the 50th. I know they're going to have a Celebration for the 50th. That's my gut telling me that. My gut's not that wrong, I don't think. But on Saturday we have a panel for Andor. Which I have the feeling that's where you're going to see the first episode at least. I think they're going to show it because it debuted.
Oh, and I'm going on Tokyo. I'll watch it when it airs.
Oh, I know you won't. I know you'll do it that way.
I've decided. I thought about it, and like, because some people are like, oh, if they show I've had some people in like various Discords be like, we should all go in together, and I'm just like, I'm in Tokyo, man. I don't want to spend my time in Tokyo watching a TV series. I'm sorry. It would be cool to see it early and it'd be cool to watch it with my friends. But like, when am I ever going to get to go to Japan again?
I get it.
Probably not for a really long time.
I get it. That's where you and I are different, because I'm not a traveler. So I'd be like, sure, I'll take the Andor thing over Japan any day. That's me. I'm an idiot that way. I know. My wife tries to get me to travel all the time, and I always fight her on it because I'm not a big traveler. I'm more of a recluse. But yeah, but I feel like that's going to be another big panel. They'll show the episode probably. Get some good interviews, but I don't think a whole lot of news is going to come out of that, unless there's something else going on in the Rogue One spinoff or Andor spinoff or something that we don't know about. I don't think anything's going to happen there. It's all going to be about the next week. Saturday, another Saturday panel, which is probably going to be our biggest news piece, and that's going to be the Ahsoka panel for season 2. Obviously, I don't believe they would have started filming yet. I think they started filming
April, isn't it?
Right after that, or right around that time.
Because they're filming here.
Yeah, that's which is weird. So I don't even know. I mean, I gotta assume that if they're gonna have a panel, that you're gonna have some guests. So I'm gonna guess that they're gonna start filming.
Yeah, they'll probably film they'll probably fly from. Maybe I'll be on the same flight as them.
Could be. You absolutely could be. But so that way you're probably not gonna get any footage. You might get cast announcements. Might get like
previs maybe
some previs, some Dave Filoni artwork kind of thing potentially. I wouldn't be surprised if the cast shows up. You do get like the cast a little bit. Maybe Rosario will be there, and maybe Rory will be there to talk about
Hayden's going to be there. Hayden's already announced.
Going to be there. Yep. This could be the place where we get the confirmation about more of the flashbacks. Like the biggest piece of news would be like if Natalie Portman shows up and they confirm that she's in season 2.
That would be pretty huge.
And if Ewan shows up, he's in and maybe Ewan shows up in Clone Wars armor.
I think Ewan is going. I think Ewan's a guest.
Right. I'm saying maybe he shows up in Clone Wars armor. That would be the big like actually wearing the armor kind of thing. I could see him doing something like that. That'd be fun. But I think that's like the biggest news we're going to get. I think at that point, as far as it goes. Then Sunday is. I'm surprised. I'm almost surprised, but not. Now that I thought about it, that first look Star Wars Visions Volume 3 is getting a reservation panel, but it is
Sunday. Sunday's the day. I'm not going this Sunday because the last 2 ones that I've been to, Sunday's always been, how you say, boring. It's very much like everyone. It's like the last day of summer camp. Like everyone knows they're going home, right? So we're just like all trying to like hang out as much as we can. So I'm going to be using that day. I think that day I'm going to the Tokyo Imperial Palace.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's going to be my day to do the not in like the bustling parts of Tokyo, like Shibuya, Akihabara. Like that's the kind of like I want to just have a nice chill Sunday.
Right.
Go to the palace, see the shrines, all that kind of stuff. I'll let everyone else, sleep off their hangovers, and I'm gonna. I think Sunday's gonna be my day to explore.
Awesome. We're gonna get but it's Visions. Makes sense. So it's in Japan. Obviously, Japan. It's just all the animation studios from Japan, so it's gonna be a big deal in that country.
And then Kojima shows up, and he's just like, "I'm directing all of Vision season 3."
Yeah, and you're not gonna be there because you'll be at the Imperial Palace.
I know where the Kojima Productions office is. So
he'll be. You must put the panel. That's okay.
if he does, and I miss that, I will
be mad. You'll be mad.
I will be pissed.
So, but that I would say we'll get a trailer then probably at that point. There might be an announcement of like there's kind of like this speculation thrown out there that there might be a Ronin spinoff potentially.
Oh hell yeah!
More fun. And that would be the place to do it. Because I know the actors said there's more. I know I think there's a Ronin episode coming again. I would be surprised if they have the announcement that Ronin's getting a full-on spinoff potentially.
That might be the next animated show.
That might be the next animated show, which is interesting to me. It's interesting to me.
Awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Would I love it? Yes, but I don't want it if that's the only animated show we're getting. Because I want to see more in, my connectivity. I want to see more in the continuity. I want to see, like, whatever we got. They had cooking for Asajj or with Omega or something like that. I mean, I would love to see both, but I want it to be an addition to. I don't want that to take the place of anything. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you tell me.
We also said that about Bad Batch. And look what happened there.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I guess, it's hard for me. It's not canon though. Like I'm a canon guy. I'm a connectivity guy, and if you have that be the only animated show is not a canon show, and like we have nothing else canon going on, that just like
maybe they change their mind. Maybe they make him canon.
Could I guess that's thrown out there. He gets connected to it that way. It could be kind of cool. But I want to see both. And if you tell me that like you got the Ronin coming, maybe Vision season 3 coming, another animated series coming, and then the Ronin comes next year or something like that potentially, I'd be all for that. Let me tell you. I don't, as long as there's other stuff coming, but I'm happy. I'm more than
live action, maybe live action Ronin.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool too.
That'd be pretty sweet.
But news wise, that's all we're gonna get out of that. Probably.
Here's my pitch.
Okay.
Live action Ronin. The Ronin, played by Ken Watanabe.
Yeah, I mean that's
better.
Good. Hiroki-san too, right?
Or Hiroyuki Sanada. He was in talks, right?
He was. He basically, I don't know if he was in talks, but he basically came out and said he wanted to play a Jedi. That's what he did come out and say that. So, for sure.
It's the closest thing to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, those are the 4 big panels, and I don't think there's any news coming out of that otherwise. So no Revenge of the Sith panel, anniversary panel, which I thought was going to happen with the ending. That might still be announced.
That might be a smaller one.
Might be announced, not a reservation. I'll be surprised though, because I know, like, well, I don't know how. Can't remember. I have to look back and see which ones were reservations and which ones weren't. But that was a surprise that it wasn't a reservation panel. The one that is surprising, there is no Lucasfilm live action showcase, which is what they've done almost every time. And that's where I thought we were going to get the Sean Levy stuff from now. I guess
got nothing to showcase.
Well,
everything's in development. They probably just have nothing to show.
Right, I guess, and I guess they don't want to make the mistake of announcing things that aren't going to be announced at this point or aren't going to happen. So I guess that might happen. That might be the way it is. So it could be, but also nothing. We have visions, but I really thought we were going to get the announcement of more connected, like the Asajj story. That was my gut, but that also could be a different panel that hasn't been announced yet because they tend to not make as big a deal about the animated show announcements as we do.
The Attack of the Clones panel wasn't a reservation because I just walked right in.
Oh, okay. There you
in
go.
Anaheim, I did when they did the Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
One. I just walked right in.
I mean, I guess I was thinking of like the 40th anniversary, which I guess is a bigger panel anyway. When I went in 2017 in Orlando, but okay. But here's my conspiracy theory. Want to hear my conspiracy theory? My speculating very irresponsibly. Sorry, Ken and Joseph.
Let me guess, a secret panel.
Yes, because honestly speaking, this is why. This is why. Look here. I want to bring up something. This could absolutely be a mistake. Okay. Absolutely could be a mistake. But I want to bring this up on screen for you. This is from the Celebration website where they announced this, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put this full screen. What is that extra dot there?
Oh my God, PLD.
Is that a mistake? Is that just a error? Is that a typo? Or is that something coming that they just haven't announced yet? Hey, I admit it is bad speculation.
You are clutching at straws.
Maybe I am. But I saw that. I'm like,
for dear fucking life.
I saw that. I'm kind of like, well, why? That seems like a bad F up for an official site like that, potentially. Like, especially because it stayed up. It's not like it's been up there for a while now. So like they haven't seen it and like it's so I don't know. Maybe there's more. There's 2 panels on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Might be another panel on Friday we don't know about yet. Just throwing it out there. Maybe it'll be announced later on. So.
You really would love the Metal Gear Solid fandom because they hold on to shit like that. Like, Kojima will say something and they'd be like, "Oh, he's taking a picture with Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet must be in the Death Stranding movie." It's like, no, he's just taking a picture with Timothy Chalamet.
The only difference is I'm not wholly hot to it. I just look at it and go, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm probably not going to happen. But like, you can see where I get it from, though. You got to at least admit you can see where I get it from. I can see that and go, that's interesting.
I'm not laughing at you, by the way. It's just
that's fine.
Of all the things, I was like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be like someone's found some like piece of web code that like, no, it's literally just a blank bullet point.
Blank bullet point, man. They're there for a reason. It's to be filled later on. It's TBD.
Then why wouldn't they just put TBD?
Because maybe that's the mistake. I mean, that's the typo. But they didn't put TBD in there.
Yeah, maybe they forgot to put TBD. But okay, you would think with the registrations coming up next week, like
maybe it's a separate reservation for that one. I don't know. It's the announcement, the Lucasfilm live action showcase, or the Lucasfilm, all the news that PLD wanted to hear at Celebration.
It's the PLD panel?
It's the PLD panel. Exactly. Although I will throw it out there. I know Celebration used to be, Celebration was around long before the con news has happened. And before that, it was literally just a celebration. It wasn't about news breaking. We kind of jumped into that World Comic Con stuff, and that's where kind of like everybody was doing all their breaking news at cons. And I kind of think maybe they get away from it
for everyone, didn't it?
What was that?
Whole H kind of killed it.
Yeah, I do wonder if that's the kind of thing that's like everybody kind of getting away from that now. And maybe Lucasfilm did it to themselves. And again, like we said last time when they announced the 3 projects, and well, they kind of haven't happened yet, and so maybe that's part of it. They don't want to get involved in that anymore. And you know,
It's that way with everything. You watch the
just,
Game Awards every year,
yeah,
and it's become less about the games that have been created and more about a market. Yeah, just a bunch of trailers marketing what's coming out next year.
Right. I mean, I think there's a happy medium that can be had. I think, honestly speaking, like when I go, like if I saw this at the panel, I was going to Japan. First of all, that'd be my problem too, because I'm going to Japan. I want to get something bigger for that purpose, for that way. But if I saw this going to Celebration, I'd be happy with this. I'd love to tackle the Ahsoka panel. Let's go to the Mando panel. I'd love to go to the business panel. I'd just go all of them. Wouldn't be able to go to all of them, so I don't know which one I'd want to go to most. Probably Ahsoka, because I think Mando Grogu is going to start coming out news-wise sooner than later. Whereas Ahsoka would be more of the drip drab we're going to get later. So I'd like to be there to see that kind of stuff in person. But I don't know. We'll have to see. But I won't be. I'm still planning to come to 2027 Celebration as long as it's continental U.S. and or if it's going to be in Cancun. No, it can't be in Cancun though, because I wouldn't go to Celebration. I would literally just be in a cabana again.
Well, it's got to be in Tulum.
That's what we're going to do. That's right, Tulum. All right, let's go. We have one more big piece of news to come out this week before we get into Andor Season 1. We were Force-centered. Last week, we covered the rumors from Puck News that Kathleen Kennedy was retiring or stepping down from Lucasfilm. And sure enough, after we had our episode dropped, Deadline came out with an article, which was an interview with Kathleen Kennedy, speaking out on just about everything that's going on. And I want to say, I was very happy to read everything directly from Kathleen Kennedy's lips instead of the usual bullshit. I've been kind of pushing for a long time, or wanting to see a long time, to have her be a little bit more James Gunnish. That she doesn't have to be, but I like the fact when something gets out there, some leaks happen, some whatever happens, it's nice to have the actual horse's mouth go, oh, this is true, this is bullshit, and this is what's going on, this is what we're doing. I just kind of like that directness and that approach, and the fans in this day, because this is the life and times we're living in. This isn't the 80s where no one knew anything until a movie came out. Nowadays we have this discourse that happens. The discourse can actually hurt the product sometimes, and so I think the best policy at this point, if this is going to be the way we're living in scoop culture, we're living in stuff that's leaking all the time, this social media stuff is going to happen, it's better to have someone come out and kind of parse through it and go, okay, honesty is the best policy. You don't have to tell me everything, but just come out ahead of something and go, well, this is true. Yeah, we are developing this. We had talks. It didn't work out. It's just nice to hear that instead of having to honestly speculate, because speculation, as we know, leads to the dark side. Eventually, and speculation leads to assumption. Assumption leads to the dark side. That's the new Yoda quote. That's a paraphrase of that potentially. The other bit of news before we actually get into the article is that this is very interesting because it's framed as a conversation, that the reporter Mike called up Kathy. She is about to leave for the Oscar Wilde Award. The Frank in tow. Frank, go up the car. We're going to get ready to go. And I'll just shoot my shit with you for a little bit. No, this is not what this is. It's framed like that. But this is a carefully thought out, designed press conference, clarifications. I am talking about everything in a way that I'm basically having a press release framed as a conversation. Can you agree with that, do you think?
Have you ever heard of the famous Mark Twain?
Yes, of course.
What was the great Mark Twain quote? The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yes. Ish. There's a lot of wordplay going on in here. There's a lot of wordplay going on here. Let's be honest.
Pretty sure I got this one right too.
We read all the speculative reports that you are out. There's a frenzy for the next person who's going to take over Lucasfilm. What is the truth? And a lot of the other side of things, the very pro Kathleen Kennedy, we have the hatred of Kathleen Kennedy. We have the zealot defenders of Kathleen Kennedy. I am if there's 1 and a 10, I'm at the 8 level.
Why are you gonna do either? Just let the woman do her job.
No, I get it. I'm saying as far as but I agree. But I agree.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying to you. I'm saying those people
totally agree
on both sides. Just let the woman do her fucking job.
Her response is, the truth is, and I just want to say loud and clear, I am not retiring. Okay, let's say this first of all. Choose the words retiring as the way to attack the information. No one really cared about whether she was retiring or not. It was about stepping down from Lucasfilm. That was the main attack of, or the main hit point of the Puck News Big, that she was stepping down from Lucasfilm presidency. And they used the words retiring from Lucasfilm presidency. She chose to use that word and go, I'm not retiring. I'm going to be making movies to the day I die. That's not what they're talking about. And she knows it. And we knew it.
It's the Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
But she is leaving. That's the thing.
No, right now she's not.
There's going to be an announcement in a couple months or a year. So basically the scoop was right.
No. That's not what she said. She said there will be an announcement months to a year out.
We have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road.
Yes. Exactly. Down the road. Down the road. So when they find
if you're talking potentially months, then the initial report is accurate enough. The initial report is accurate enough that she is planning to leave Lucasfilm.
To me, that says once we found someone, we will announce months to a year out.
If you are saying it's possibly months, that means you've already kind of found somebody and you're grooming them and you're dotting all the I's and checking the T's, and you want to announce it. And you want to announce it the way you want. There's a quote later on that you were looking within seems to give credence to what we've heard, that exec like Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni is in a good position as he works on Star Wars to write and direct. I can't say who it is because that's just an internal process that goes on inside. That means I can't tell you who we've chosen already because that's an internal process we have to figure out.
Who they are looking at. Maybe they haven't chosen Dave yet. Maybe Dave still has to prove himself.
I think there's a potential thing about working through things, but to me, that reads, we know who we want. We are going to make sure it works. The main gist of the whole article is I want to be able to announce this when I want to announce it and when we are ready to announce it. Absolutely, she deserves that. 1,000%. I'm backing that 100%. We have no right to jump the gun. I mean, I don't blame Puck for reporting what he heard source-wise. That's not I can't blame him for reporting that. Because that's news. And that's what's out there. Kathleen Kennedy deserves the right to go, this is what's out there. I'll make the announcement when I'm good and ready. But this is what I'm talking about as far as carefully crafted. She attacks the retired part because she's not retiring. She's going to go off and do movies. She's going to go work with Frank. She's going to go blah, blah, blah. But the news is true that there's a plan of succession that is forming now and is probably closer to the end than not. She also, let's go through this bit by bit.
I'm telling you, 2027. That's when she's going to do it. 2027 is when
I think she might be involved with Lucasfilm for 2027, 2028, 2029 even. She might be involved in Lucasfilm. I think she is not the president of Lucasfilm.
This is what I'm saying. She will step aside in 2027.
See, I think she might be out mid 2026. But I think she'll be there.
I think she announces mid 2026 in line with the months ahead, and then
I think 2027 she goes. Okay. I think she announces 2025.
Should we take a bet? Or
by the end of 2025
You're gonna make a bet on it? $10?
$10? Sure.
$10?
Okay.
Check on it.
I'll say shake on it. 2025. She's gonna, by the end of 2025, she'll make the announcement.
I say 2026.
Wait. All right. Let me think about that for a second.
Without we shaking on it.
There is a chance. No. There is a chance. I will give you there's a chance that she waits for Mandalorian and Grogu to come out and then makes the announcement. Chance. But the months out makes me think maybe there's a chance that might actually happen at Celebration. That they make the announcement that yes, I'm stepping aside. This is the person I'm going to bring on, and we are grooming him or her or them to be the next leader. Blah blah blah. Either way, she's staying on to do producing. She's going to have the production credit on everything. A lot of things going forward. So I don't know, but either way, okay. So let's move on. The truth is, and I want to say loud, I'm not retiring. I'll never retire from movies. All right, what's happening at Lucasfilm? I've been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. We have an amazing bench of people here, and we have every intention of making an announcement months or a year down the road. We are in lockstep as to what that's going to be, and I'm continuing. I'm producing the Mandalorian movie right now. big piece of news to drop in here now. And I'm also producing Sean Levy's movie, which is after that. This is the first bit of confirmation we know from anybody that's not named Sean Levy that Sean Levy has a Star Wars film in development. But not only in development,
it's the next one.
I am producing Sean Levy's movie, which is after that, which fills in the gaps of our speculation that we had that September shooting date. Sean Levy's movie is filming next. That's it. This is the one that's coming next. So that is a confirmation of that. What do I do that? You're just going to drop that in this conversation kind of thing. I thought it was going to come in celebration. No, just I'm going out to me and Frank are going out to the award, but we're doing Sean Levy's movie. But yeah, it's a big conversation to have.
I think we'll see. I think they'll save that for D23.
It could be. Because it's closer to that point. They start filming.
And also because he has the Marvel connection from Deadpool. So you'd want to do it at like a bigger Disney-wide.
Could be.
When more people are going to be watching. So you're going to have Marvel fans that'll be like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's the guy from Deadpool. Oh, he's doing a Star Wars. Cool. We'll go watch that.
I absolutely think. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. Well, I'm almost thinking like maybe they're just going to. I'm done con news. I think Lucasfilm could like just drop it some random Tuesday in August and like, oh, by the way, it's happening. So it continues on. So I'm continuing to stay at Lucasfilm and looking very thoughtfully at Bob and Alan as to who's stepping in. So that is all underway, and we have every right to make that announcement when we want to make it. I want to say it clearly again. No matter my looking at this, no matter my whatever speculation on things, I'm absolutely on board with that. She has the right. She has, if nothing else, earned the right to say when it's going to happen. Good. Okay. We went on. I already talked about Dave Filoni things. I can't say who it is because there's an internal process that goes on inside a large corporation, a publicly held company, as to how we go about making deals, finalizing decisions, and making announcements. Basically, that's we got to wait for the press cycle to be where we want it to be before we make that happen. There's nothing unusual about that, and we're in the process. Continues on. This flurry of press coverage, it sounds like chaos. What's the reality? Chaos. Kennedy answers chaos. There's never been any chaos because we know exactly what the plan is. We know exactly who it is. And we've been talking about my throw aside. And we've been talking about it, as I said, nonstop for the last couple of years because for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be here forever. George asked me 13 years ago to step in, and now I'm looking at who's going to replace me. And as I said, we have a bench of people internally to handle the business, the creative side. The job has grown also since I stepped in. There was no streaming. There weren't a lot of things that we're involved in right now going on, so it has grown. Right. No streaming before Kathleen Kennedy. Now they're streaming. Big to do. All that, again, points out to me they know who they want. They know who they have in mind. They're just not ready to announce it yet and go through it. They have to finalize some things, whatever that means. They want to add a second person if it's like a Filoni Plus kind of situation. But it does, through 2 comments so far, all about we have a lot of great internal folks. So I am not expecting to have an outsider come in at this point. That's my own thought process.
No, I don't think it's going to be someone outside, but I think they're still picking the one.
I think they might be picking the 2. I think that's the 2.
I think they haven't got like the definitive.
I think they have Dave Filoni.
They're next.
I think Dave Filoni's next, and they're trying to figure out who they want to work with them for the executive side. That's my thought. I really think that's what's going to happen. That's who Disney wants. They've leaked that before. I don't want it to happen either. Although, at least if it is, Dave, pair him up with somebody executive-wise that can handle the executive side.
Dave plus Dave plus Johnny Favs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Dave on his own.
Well, I still throw out my dark horse candidate because, technically speaking, Simon Kinberg is in Lucasfilm right now.
Okay.
So I that's a dark horse candidate to be in there. Just throwing it out there. All right. So deadline, how far down the road do you expect before a change gets made and then you go off and produce these 2 big Star Wars things? We'll probably make an announcement months or a year out. I have every intention of sticking around to help that person be successful. I'm already producing the Mandalorian movie and Sean Levy's is after that. I recall these same retirement predictions were rendered a while ago and you re-upped and here you are. What do you make of this fixation on your job status? Kennedy, I truly don't know. Any discussion previously about me retiring or quitting or any of those things, that's complete rumor mill because through all these reports, I have just continued doing my job and continuing my contract. Nothing unusual. It all has just been manufactured. Again, that I agree with. Basically saying a few red eyes, you all hear the thing you're throwing out at me has never been true. This is not the true situation. Deadline. The connotation is you're being pushed aside in need of being replaced. That's not what I've heard. Kennedy is absolutely not the case. It could not be further from the truth. And everything that we do inside of Lucasfilm is in lockstep and in communication with Disney. We all know what's going on. The communication has been completely collaborative, as you'd expect. This is a big piece of business for them, and they want to empower me to help them make that decision and that choice. I'm doing that, which means, despite what other Red Eyes say, she is picking her successor, or she is at least very much involved in picking her successor. And she has the right to do so. Absolutely. He mentioned later on Kevin Feige, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to think, blah, blah, blah. She mentions also, she talks about Star Wars being a brand that has changed and everything else because the world building, a lot of kind of cool stuff. But specifically, there's a great quote in here. Then when you have a brand that's this expansive, you're also, and this is something we work really hard at, you try to find different entry points for different generations because that's what Star Wars has always been. It's a very generational brand, and we want to sustain that. We work hard to sustain that. So George gave us the gift of storytelling, being across lots of different genres, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to try things. What we've really enjoyed about the streaming space is that we've been able to experiment. It's harder to do that in the movie space. And now I think that's why it feels so good to be able to move into a Mandalorian movie as we're coming off of 3 seasons of a very successful show. We're actually built an audience for that, and we gave the young audience an opportunity to enter Star Wars at a different place and not feel like you have to have seen everything. It can become their Star Wars, and I think it's the fun storytelling challenge. That's key to me. That is a great thing to say because Star Wars needs to always rebuild. We always need to have their own Star Wars. I'm an old white man. I grew up in the OG era. That's what I did. But now we have people who might not have never seen anything, but their entry point is Grogu. And that's their Star Wars.
That. Oh.
That's true. It's absolutely true. That's their entry point to Star Wars.
I'm fucking old.
I know. I get it. But that's not a bad thing. Not that we're feeling old.
I know it's not a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
Just knowing that like some kid out there's entry point was the Mandalorian. Ugh.
Right. But that's what we need to have happen. That, and we also mentioned, Young Jedi Adventures, same type.
It doesn't need it. I'm fully with you. I'm more looking at that
I know.
with that old.
I hate confronting my mortality. I get that. I agree with that. She also talks about the thing we always talk about. She mentions, a long resume of big movies. Compared to that, how much tougher is the challenge of so much public scrutiny and second guessing by the rabid fan base? It's not uncommon to develop a project with big names who fall out when visions don't align, but they get reported as a big implosion. Kennedy's response: what you just said, though, is so interesting to me, Mike, because that is development. It doesn't matter if you're doing Star Wars or anything else. What's troubling and frustrating is that our development gets scrutinized, and I don't know any other production company where development gets scrutinized like that. It's very hard for anything to happen within Star Wars without some aspect of it becoming public before you even want it to become public. So I guess managing the message in some ways is also quite a challenge because, of course, not every single thing we put in development we're going to make. That's not unusual. We want to make those things that we feel are the best. We want to make those things as time passes feel relevant to what the audience is responding to. So there's constant discussion around that. So yeah, that's a tricky one because a lot of scrutiny around Star Wars and the negativity has been about development. Of course, we're going to develop lots of different things with an understanding that not everything gets made.
They brought that on themselves, though. Let's be fair. They brought that on themselves because you don't hear MGM, now Amazon, saying a word about who's going to play the next Bond. We know they're working on it, but they don't say a word about it.
Yeah, but you know what they do say?
What?
There's a rumor today about Christopher Nolan directing, getting Final Cut to direct the next
That's
Bond.
been going on for fucking years.
That's a big news bit now.
Okay, if he does it after Odyssey, great. But here's the thing: that they keep so stum on it. Like we probably know it's probably going to be Cavill next. But Lucasfilm are like, yes, we're doing this. We have artwork prepared. We have a logo prepared. We have a cast announcement prepared. Here it is. Oh, wait, it's not going to happen. And I keep saying this, like, if they kept a little bit more stum about it until it's concrete, we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, I'll push back, though, because a lot of things, the only thing that really fits what you're saying to me in my mind's eye, the only thing to think about, okay, it's the Pat Jenkins thing. Because they officially announced that they had a teaser with it. And that's one that can that's on them. Everything else, I feel like, Donald Glover's Lando is one that might fit that bill, but as far as we know, he's actually still working on it. I don't know. Like last we heard, he was still working on it. The 3 things we have in development, obviously Dave Filoni is going to make. Mentioned in this article.
Ryan Johnson.
That's there. Ryan Johnson, thing that was said in an interview. That's true, but and that still might happen after Knives Out. He changed his mind on something. I just feel like a lot of times leakers take things and they jump on things, and then like this is what I'm talking about though. When leakers leak this stuff, having an article like this, having Kathleen Kennedy or someone from Lucasfilm come and go, hey, you know what? Like that drops. The idea Sean Levy drops. It's out there in the world. You're not ready to make the announcement and go, okay, yeah, you know what? Absolutely. Sean Levy and Lucasfilm, we have discussed development. We're not ready to announce anything yet. We are still developing something that could potentially happen. That is what you say. Because then it gets out there. Your word is out there saying, okay, we're developing something that may or may not happen. Then when it doesn't happen, you can point back, we said it might not happen. We're just talking about it. Because if you don't say anything, what becomes the word? Where it becomes Sean Levy is making a Star Wars movie. Ryan Reynolds is in it. It started to film next September. Awesome. I can't wait for it. And then when it falls apart, because Lucasfilm didn't say anything, it's like, what the fuck happened? They dropped the ball again. What the hell? But if you come out there and go, yep, Sean Levy said this. He put it out there. I didn't want Sean Levy to say this, but he did. So yeah, Sean Levy, we're having a discussion with Sean Levy. We're developing something. What about Ryan Gosling? He's been mentioned as a name. Of course, we like to work with top tier talent. We're talking about a lot of different aspects of things. This may or may not happen. When we're ready to announce something, we will let you know. That puts the kibosh on a lot of things.
This also goes to what I've often said about Lucasfilm. It's like, whoever keeps leaking this shit, find out who it is and tell them to shut the fuck up.
No. But the thing is, not always necessarily Lucasfilm. Sean Levy is the one who came out and said it. You know what I mean? Something like that kind of thing. It could be somebody from Sean Levy's camp. It could be somebody from the other side of things that are like Ryan Gosling's agent wants it floated out there that he is talking about Star Wars. It's not necessarily Lucasfilm's fault. You know what I mean? Like it's things in this day and age are going to get out. Kathleen Kennedy said it best. These things are going to get out. Yes. Should they do a good job of tightening the ship there? Absolutely.
Ironclad those NDAs. So if anything gets out about this, you will never work for us ever again.
And maybe they could do more that way, absolutely. But I think it's better. You could say that, but that's like the pie in the sky thing. I think you have to also have a plan in place for when things do leak, because things are going to leak. No matter what you do, you can tighten the ship, but things are going to still leak. So we have to have a plan in place of how to tackle that. And being this honest and coming forth, this is what's happening. That's the way to do it. Honesty will never hurt you that way, I think. So, all right, keeping going.
Yeah, we've been going for an hour already.
I know, but I got a couple of different things we'll talk about here. Deadline. I broke a piece last fall about Simon Kinberg making a deal to write and produce a Star Wars trilogy. How's that going? We're absolutely rolling fast and furiously. That has gone exceptionally well. It's literally going to script as we speak. We'll see something probably around June. Simon, if you remember, did some work with us years ago with the animated show, which is a really wonderful collaborative experience. And then he got very, very busy with X-Men and recently became available again. And he segued into this space beautifully. We're really excited about where that's headed. Okay, so we got now. I think this is the first time we've heard Lucasfilm confirm Simon Kinberg. I believe Simon Kinberg had said everything else himself.
He put it on his Instagram story.
Right. I don't think anybody else from Lucasfilm had said anything until now. Okay, you're confirming it. Now we know. Great. There are spin-offs, and then there's the core Star Wars story broken into trilogies. This is a continuation of that. Kennedy, this is the next iteration, the new saga that moves us into the future. Okay, so this is basically saying, yes, this is 10, 11, and 12. Whether it's part of the Skywalker saga or not, this is the next main storyline. Deadline and the one by Deadpool and Wolverine director Sean Levy, that's also in the future. First time we got a confirmation about this. It's all post the first 9. Sean's the standalone Star Wars story, and that'll take place post 9, maybe 5 or 6 years out. And Mandalorian really stands on its own because there we're dealing with a whole other era in the New Republic. We have other development going on in that space as well. But no, didn't make any announcements about it. I mean, maybe she's just talking about Ahsoka season 2. Maybe she's just talking about the Dave Manda movie. I feel like there's more on there. So that space we're pretty much focused on right now because obviously with Mandalorian, we have a pretty good sense of where that's going. And with this, Kinberg and Levy, it's all pretty much new characters. We may bring some of the characters back from the sequel saga, but pretty much new characters. I'm going to come back to this in a second before we finish this thing. She continued, Deadline says, how many development type projects do you have percolating that you feel confident will turn into something down the line? To play it safe, I'd say 3 or 4 right now at the moment, and a large part of it, Mike, is who is the talent we're attaching. And that's a challenge in and of itself these days because people get really busy. So you find yourself having to wait with a lot of the top talent doing streaming and movies now. You're juggling schedules, and when you do Star Wars, you pretty much have to step into it and not have any competing work going on. It's a good 2 to 3 years minimum commitment, and that's tough to get top talent to be able to carve out that kind of time. So that's part of the challenge as well. Deadline, you still got prequel James Mangold, who's Oscar nominated for the Bob Dylan movie. He goes, yep, he's working on his script right now. Simon's working on scripts right now. Sean, we've been working with him already for about 1.5 years. These guys are available now. Jim got delayed a bit because of the Dylan movie and the award season, and you have to accommodate top talent to a certain extent. The quality is so important with what we're trying to do. I like to wait for people that I think are passionate and really good to step into Star Wars. Any others I've forgotten? Kennedy, well, I keep waiting for Taika, and he's working with another writer now. He's so busy. I love him. I think if we ever do get a script from Taika, it's going to be fantastic. I already saw a first act that I loved, but tying him down is tricky. That's pretty much how it ended. Talk more about her future, which is great. They did ask, will you arm twist Tony to doing one of these Star Wars movies after he was the uncredited backstop on Rogue One? Kennedy said, I don't know if I can. I don't think he's ever believed he'd be a decade inside Star Wars. He's writing some things on his own, and I think he'd like to get back into the director's chair. So we'll see what he does. But he's such a talent, just fantastic. And the last bit, will you step out as Lucasfilm boss this year? Kennedy, we really don't know at this stage. There's so much going on, Mike. I don't know. When it happens, who will make the decision? Me. It's my decision. This is 100% my decision. So to end it, that's it. Kathleen Kennedy basically giving a little double bird salute. I'm doing what I want to do. You all can suck it. And that's good. I'm glad. Let her do it. But other news-wise, I can still work on a script if we ever get it. It's still in development, but that, to me, if she's willing to talk about it, again, this comes in the form of the carefully crafted conversation. She mentions Taika developing. I think that's still something that might be actively on her mind as something that she wants to make work happen. Kinberg is doing it. Levy is doing it. Mangold is doing it. Doesn't mention Dave Filoni's movie, but I don't think that's ever been in doubt. The question I have, in the last bit of news, we'll tackle before I move on to Andor Season 1. Conspicuous by its absence, not one mention of the New Jedi Order movie with Rey, with Sharmito Obaid-Chinoy. Not one mention of any of that. And like you could say, well, it just slipped her mind. She was wandering out the door. Everything else had kind of been so carefully crafted that it feels a bit conspicuous by its absence, especially when you talk about, they're talking about Sean Levy's movie,
right?
Simon Kinberg's trilogy,
which could be involved, which we've talked about.
New characters
could be
new characters. We might bring back some sequel characters, but it is mainly new characters.
We've talked about her, Sharmina Obaid-Chinoy, the new Rey movie, being part of that trilogy.
I did too, so because George Nolfi's writing that, we just heard, and Simon Kinberg is going to script it now also. So all of a sudden, that becomes less likely to be the same thing. Sean Levy's writing his, Simon Kinberg's writing his. Where's the Rey, Sharmina Obaid-Chinoy, George Nolfi script? What's going on with that? Conspicuous by its absence. I honestly think, I am more and more sure, I would put it at 75% now, if not 80%, that Sharmina Obaid-Chinoy is no longer going to be directing this.
Okay.
Daisy Ridley, I still think is going to come back as Rey. I wish that Deadline had, if I was the Deadline person, that's the one thing I would have asked for confirmation, because we had what led my gut to the speculation before. Daisy, the interview where Daisy said this was turning into a trilogy, and Daisy said yes, whether that was a misstep by her or what that was. That's led me to believe that the Simon Kinberg thing was that. What's going on with that, and why isn't it mentioned? Is it me?
So because she didn't mention Dave's movie, does that mean that's not getting made anymore?
No, but she alluded to it. To the Mandalorian future. We have stuff in development in the Mandalorian space, and that's what we're working on right now.
Okay, but she didn't specifically mention that movie.
Correct. But we don't need to mention that movie. He's ingrained in Lucasfilm. He is the chief creative officer. He is the chief of creativity in there. I don't think you have to mention that to be to be in there. At this
I'm just
point.
playing devil's advocate here.
I know you are. I know you are.
Daisy Ridley supposedly supposed to like be a big part of this Shamin Obeid Chenoy movie.
Right. I just found it very. I don't know. I could, like I said, I could be wrong. It just feels like everything else has been so well crafted and like thought out. Again, disguised as a off the cuff conversation, but definitely was done for a reason. She chose Deadline. I don't think Mike actually called her and got her out the cuff. I think she talked to Mike and said, "Let's have a conversation." But again, I could be wrong. Maybe it did slip her mind. Maybe she didn't think about it. Maybe she had other stuff to talk about. But I
Patty Jenkins is also apparently still writing the Rogue Squadron movie. Sure. That didn't get mentioned.
Yeah, that's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I also think that that might be. The more I hear from Patty Jenkins, and again, I don't want to throw out there too much.
The more I don't want to hear from Patty Jenkins.
The more I don't want to hear from Patty Jenkins. I kind of feel like she's trying to will it back into existence, baby.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel about it, potentially. Or
it's
maybe
like it's like the ex that you just want to keep around just in case.
Right, exactly. If she comes up with something, great, we'll look at it. Sure. I think you ask Kathleen Kennedy directly, what about Patty Jenkins? Well, if she gives us something, I think she's a fantastic director. And I think if she wants to give something, we'll obviously look at it and go from there. It'd be that kind of like non-committed kind of response.
If we break up with Sean Levy and Taika and Jim Mangold and everyone else, we've got her as a last resort.
She's our standby right now, exactly. Yeah. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let's get into everything else.
She's the pity sex.
All right, let's get into Andor season 1. We're an hour and 11 minutes in before we get to this. This is really old school. This is going to be a long episode, but let's get through it. Andor, we're going to do this all in one group. If you haven't seen us before, when we break down our shows, we do it in a series of categories in order to kind of pinpoint our specifics on it, and then we will come back and talk about more about the generality of it. Because we are doing this in arcs, we're going to do this all in one. So we're going to basically treat this like one big movie, which might mean our categories might have some extra spots given to it. We'll get some leeway that way. To make things as it were, but we're going to go through it bit by bit. The one category we're going to eliminate, I think, is Force Vision, because quite frankly, we know what's going to happen in this series.
Really? Because I thought I came up with a pretty good one.
I thought we could kind of like incorporate it into the putting that in your holocron and Snoke kind of thing.
Okay.
Maybe talk about that. But yeah, we'll go through it. All right, first up, our first thing we always ask, and I don't even know if we bother doing this one because we know it's going to happen.
Just do it.
All right, it's Hondo Watch 2020. Well, this is actually 20. When in Andor 2023 or 2023? That's when Andor happened.
2022.
22. I don't know. Hondo Watch 2022. Did Hondo Ohnaka make an appearance in the first 3 episodes of Andor season 1? We know the answer is no. God damn it! When will our long national nightmare end? God, he's not in it. Will he be in season 2 though? Will he be in season 2? Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not. He's an alien. He's an alien, so probably not.
Yeah, Tony Gilroy is definitely xenophobic when it comes to Star Wars. As far as that goes, fear of aliens. We don't have any aliens in Star Wars in Andor. That's one of the few drawbacks. It's one of the few drawbacks of Andor season 1. I'll say.
Although we do get a pretty cool one in this arc.
Yeah. No, there's a couple of them. There are a couple of them out there, absolutely. But it's definitely, if you look at Andor versus every other Star Wars property, there are decidedly less aliens in Andor than there are in other properties. And that's okay. All right. Next up, crew member of the week, or the first 3 episodes. This is where we take our favorite. Actually, you know what? I didn't even change the names of our categories. I should have looked at that and thought about it. We'll have to change it for Andor season 2. Basically, our favorite character of the week or arc.
Just character of the week.
Yeah, character of the week. Favorite 1 or 2 characters of this arc. We can go with that. I had 2 I was going to throw out there. Why don't you give me your choices there first?
Mine was pretty easy.
Okay.
Brasso.
I
want Brasso as my friend. The amount of shit that I, in my formative years, would get up to and would require my friends to come up with an excuse on the fly. And they're just my friends are terrible at that.
Brasso is not. He is great at it.
Brasso is like the best friend anyone could ever ask for. Because Cassian's like coming out with this whole spiel. He's just like, we went back to your place. We had a bottle. You had an unopened bottle of this. Da, 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 da. And then Brasso's like, you offended me over my choice of beverage. And it's just like it envelops on it more. Just like,
well, because he had to deal with the knock that Andor got, and so he knows he had to cover that up too. He's like, all right, that's where that came into play then.
And then he ends it by, tell your mother I said hello.
I love the fact that Brasso does that too, because like it's one of those two friends things. It's like, I'm gonna make this story up, and in that story, I whooped your ass, and you're gonna say, yes, that's how it happened.
And you're gonna tell me you smiled at me and liked it.
And you liked it. No, I agree. Brasso is great. It's almost like it's funny because on a rewatch, I almost feel like I'm gonna have him be a character of the week at some point. That's why I didn't have him be a character of the week yet. It's kind of like that. That's what the rewatch kind of does. Speculatively, it can affect my looking at things. But it's a great choice. I absolutely love the choice. And he is a real one. He is a true loyal friend. Everyone should have a Brasso in their life. Salt of the earth, hard worker, loyal hawk. But he's going to do the right thing. Whether the right thing is lying for your friend to cover for him, even if he doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea what Cassian did, but he's still going to get his bill. He's going to get back with his bottle of nog. By the way, I want a bottle of nog. I don't know what it is, but I want a bottle of nog. I want to try it.
I have often said to my friends in PLD, this applies to you. If I die, you can use my name for any lie.
Fair enough. That's a great
lie on my name if you have to when I die.
There you go. Perfect. I love it. Did you have anyone else you wanted to highlight? I had two I was going to highlight.
Me too, but that's to come.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I had two choices. One, I know he was only in the one episode, but it's Luthen. I think every week's going to be Luthen. I just love Stellan Skarsgård in Andor. He is by far my favorite character throughout the entirety of the saga, the Andor saga, I should say. Stellan Skarsgård, man, knows how to speak a line of dialogue and make it his. And the intensity behind him, he's the most interesting character by far. I love Cassian. I love like his story and getting to know his background. But at the end of the day, I want to know more about Luthen. This did not change from the first time I watched these 3 episodes. At the end of the 3rd episode, I was like, damn, Luthen is a badass. He is a part of the rebellion we didn't know existed before this. So, of course, that leads speculatively that this is not going to end well for Luthen by the end of the series. But damn, this side of things I want to see develop more, and I hope we get more about him. I'm hoping we get to see Luthen in the Mask of Fear books or the that Reign of the Empire trilogy.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Maybe he's in this one. I have gotten that far yet. But we know there's more books coming, and it's going to jump ahead in time. So that'd be great to see Luthen in that as well. I can't wait to see that potentially. Stellan Skarsgård is that. I've mentioned it before. We mentioned when we talked about Skeleton Crew. He is a known commodity. And there's that question, well, you should have unknowns in Star Wars because they can be distracting. No, you put someone like a Stellan Skarsgård in or a Jude Law, and all of a sudden you get a Class A performance, and a Class A performance makes you forget anything about who they are actor-wise and lets you go, I want to know more about this character. And so Luthen, even though he's in one of the 3 episodes, got to the top of the chart with a laser blast. The other character I want to highlight, this is my own personal Hondo.
I hope it's who I think you're about to say, because I'm trying to find his name.
My own personal Hondo for Andor, as far as this goes. He's the guy that I just want to see in every episode. He's never going to be in hardly in any episodes, but when he appears, I just smile. And that's Lieutenant Mosk.
Yes, that's his name. Mosk.
Lieutenant, I don't know his rank. I'm sorry, I forget his rank. It's Mosk though. Cyril Karn, who is this absolute shitweasel prick.
He's the Dwight Schrute of Star Wars. So.
He is the Dwight Schrute of Star Wars. You have Moss come in. Every line of dialogue, it makes me laugh. He is so committed to the bit. So committed to his character. He has said he is not in season 2, and I hope he's wrong. I hope he's lying to us for that matter. I hope he comes back. I understand if he doesn't come back, because quite frankly, his story is kind of done at this point. But man, I hope not. I can see him. I could see him coming back, but I'm saying if he doesn't, I would understand it. Like, I don't understand why he doesn't. But man, he made me laugh. He makes me smile. He like wants to be in charge, but yet is a bootlicker, like in the worst fashion. Every bit of dialogue he said, I was like, this guy. That's what I kept saying. This guy. Who is this guy?
Even when he just says shit.
Shit. Yes. I love me an accent like that too. I love a Scottish accent. He has a little Scottish accent. Yeah. Always gets me to win there. He just starts talking shit all the way. I love the time, especially when he has this like rebel rousing speech to his fellow people right before they go to get Cassian, to trap Cassian, and he gets
Cyril up to do it,
and he goes, Cyril, go ahead. Cyril has no idea what he's doing. Yeah. Yeah, sure. And he's like, all right, good job. Let's go. He's still like pats on the back and like he treats him like he was a champion. Like he did the best job in the world.
And when Cyril like turns to walk away, he even looks. He's just like, And
the funniest part is that we actually get a moment where even Mosk breaks for Cyril, because Cheryl also gets traumatized when Luthen and Cassian kind of do their trickery and break free, which we'll talk about a little later, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. And Cyril gets like shell shocked. He's like, I don't know what to do. And Musk goes, he's like, Sir, we got to go. And he gets to his face. Come on now. But Mosk is so fun. Easily.
Like, I was looking for his name, but for some reason it kept coming up that it was Melshi, and I was like, no, Melshi's not the Scottish guard. So yes, no. Thank you for reminding me of his name.
Sergeant Linus Mosk, played by Alex Ferns. Mr. Sergeant Ferns, Mosk. Bravo. He is going to go down like this is. I feel like this is a future episode where we take some like our favorite like small time characters that don't appear, like not quite Glub Shadows, but like I don't know, so like our favorite things like that.
Dude, he was in the Batman.
Yes, he was.
Who did he play in the Batman?
He was God, what was he in Batman? He was the I just saw him in there. I remember watching the show. And I was
he was in Danny Boy as well. I didn't know that.
Was he in Danny Boy?
He was in Danny Boy. He was in Godzilla versus Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah, yes, he was. I remember seeing him in that. I was like, oh, it's him. That's awesome. That's him.
He's in Chernobyl.
He is in Chernobyl, which is a show I haven't actually finished yet. I haven't watched that.
He's in all the Godzilla versus Kong movies.
In the Batman, he was the commissioner. That's who he was. The commissioner, Commissioner Savage or whatever. So good. He is so good. Alex Ferns, I celebrate you. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you need to talk about? Crew member or character of the week? Or you go on?
This is good.
All right. Next up, I Spec. That's our favorite line of dialogue from the episodes. A couple of different ones. Luthen had one in the third one, but my favorite line by far, for sure, is Marva from the third episode. Okay. And she is taken captive on house arrest while they're looking for Cassian, and the two guards are left behind, and all of the Ferrex citizens are banging on the old bells there, the pipes to kind of let people know something's going on. Such a great tone of like oppressiveness but rebellion there, and she just sits there and watches these two guards who are very unnerved. You can tell they're getting very unnerved by it. And it's just there. She goes, "Gets to you, doesn't. That's what a reckoning sounds like. You want it to stop, but it just keeps coming. When it stops, that's when you really want to start to fret." Just said it like the badass that she is, and totally, completely unnerved. Like you see the guards going, "What happens then?" Okay, gets so unnerved. But it is actually, to me, a line of dialogue that sums up Andor, the series. It's because the oppressiveness has taken over. We are living in a fascist society, and the people are starting to fight back, and there's going to be a reckoning. And it's a great highlight for what's to come in the end of the series, end of the season, end of the series potentially. It just showcased what's going to go on, and I got chills when I listened to it. I loved it so much. What about you? What are your line?
Mine was the Luthen quote when he's speaking to Cassian in the warehouse. He says, "Oh, they'd hang me, would they? Take me up Rick's Road and hang me in the square. Wouldn't be the first time, would it? Isn't that where they hung your father?" Because that says to me that he has had his eyes on Cassian for a long time. He's not just there for this Star Path unit. He's there because he sees the potential in Cassian, and he's like, okay, let me come get this guy and get him out of here, and try and groom him into being the next me. Essentially, there was one line that I completely forgot. It was such a throwaway line, and it was in the first episode, and it was by one of the guards. And it was one that, like, when I heard it on the rewatch, I was like, oh, Tony, you know exactly what you were doing. It was when the two corpo guards are following him down the street, and they're talking about how he got there. And one of them goes, oh, maybe he swam over.
Oh, my God. You're so... even on the rewatch, I didn't think about it. Holy Snokes.
Saying that to Diego Luna.
Snokes. Wow. He did. Yeah.
That's very
on the nose.
Yeah.
On the nose.
So I think the Gilroy brothers knew what they were doing when they were writing that one.
Yeah. I was thinking of it Star Wars wise. I thought it was a nice little peek ahead at Prison Arc potentially as well.
Yeah.
In a way. But I like your angle better. I didn't think about that way. You're that's an awesome. I should have. It's so.
It was like such a little like throwaway comment, but I heard it when I was on the rewatch. I was like, oh, okay.
I see. I see what you're doing, Mr. Gilroy's. Good stuff. Good call. Good call. I did like the other Luthen line. I actually didn't. I thought I had written it down. I didn't, but it was the idea about like, don't you want to fight these bastards for real?
For real, yeah.
Like, that was great. That was great. Again, it's Stellan Skarsgård delivery that makes it. It's a normal, common line. It's like any badass line I would say, but Stellan delivers it with such aplomb, as you will, that it totally takes over for it for sure. So, all right. Put that in your holocron and Snoke it, or explore more lore. We can combine this a little bit of Force Vision if you want. If you think there's something that's going to be in here, you're going to find out more about. Yeah. I'm going to start with one. I'm wondering, we have kind of a dangling plot line so far that we haven't ever gotten finished, and I don't see anything about it in season 2. I don't know if it can even fit in season 2. But it was laid out in the beginning as such an important part of his story, and that's Cassian's sister. Like, he starts the very first episode. He is in the strip club. He is looking for his sister, and he's left his sister behind. We have a lot of flashbacks to being from Kenari, and so is that something that we're actually going to find out more? Do you think, or is that going to drop? So. You what?
I think I would think so. That's one. It's such a big thing. I think that we'll find out one way or another.
I would think so too. But it was. I'm kind of curious to do the rest of the rewatch of the season because I don't really remember much more about Kenari or about his sister after these first 3 episodes. So, and we have so much to do. I do wonder if it's going to be a victim of the idea that Andor was initially going to be 5 seasons, and they cut it down to 2. So maybe we're not going to get any information. I think it would be a criticism I can see for the show to kind of like push this in the beginning and then just never talk about it again. Could be something we hear later on. Maybe it's a book or something potentially later on. But I do think I would like to know a little bit more. You
got to think someone of the caliber of Tony Gilroy though would be like, that's a big hanging thing. We should probably tie it up, even if it's kind of a cheap, kind of quick, kind of tie up in a way. You're right. You're not wrong. So, and I'll also throw it out there. I want to see more Musk. I want to see this guy get involved more. But the origins of Musk.
I want to see a
Elon Musk
TV, a Musk Disney Plus special where it's just Musk at work, or Musk becomes like a PI or something like that.
You know what I want Paul Blart Mall Cop, but with Musk.
Star Wars version of the Mall Cop, and it's Musk. That is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. I love it. All right, what about you, my friend?
I think we are going to go back to Ferrix because we have the shots with the construction vehicle. But I'd like to know more about Ferrix before the Imperial occupation, because it seems to me like it's kind of like, maybe I'm getting the era wrong, but like 70s, 80s Detroit, where
Right.
it's like all these like big factories, massive manufacturing plants, and then the Empire comes in and it just all goes away.
Right. Yeah.
I would have loved. It seems like a place where it's just like hardworking people, working class folk, big bustling like Detroit style factories, like all the motor vehicle factories and everything. I would love to have seen like what it was like before the Empire showed up.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely showcases where we are with that as far as that goes. Like, it's very much this is one more tool of the Empire being the oppressive fascist like government that it is, and the heroes and the citizens having to fight back, and people like Brasso. Brasso really does represent like the everyman citizen of the group. Like, Casting is the one who's going to actually fight in the rebellion. Brasso's not going to like fight in the organized rebellion, but he'll be the one who stands up and is like taking his lumps, fighting, doing what's right, basically doing what's right. Love to see more about that as well. So yeah, no, you're spot on there. I'm trying to think of anything else in the episodes that we watched that. I mean, another thing. Well, I still again want to know more about Luthen and like the history of his. I want to know what Luthen did before. I know we throw it out there all the time, and there's too many topics. I'd love to see comics or books or whatever. But if I had to like list like the top level, I would really love a prequel book about Luthen, where he was like during the Clone Wars, what happened to like him to get to where he was in Andor season 1.
I imagine with the collection he's got, he was some kind of like smuggler.
It could be a smuggler, could have been just a Lord Santeca type, a archaeologist kind of type, Dr. Aphra kind of person. Was he connected to the Jedi in any way, shape, or form? Not necessarily a Jedi, not even a Force user potentially, but does he have some kind of connected? Did he travel with some Jedi potentially?
Pirate,
a lot of different things. There's so many things you could do with Luthen. But I'm fascinated to know his story. I don't need to know everybody's story. Like, honestly, as much as I love Mosk, I don't really need a Mosk book. Like, talk about, like, that's not what you need. That like the funny comedy side of things. But Luthen, but Luthen's fantastically like depth and deep. Like, it's very interesting to see where he comes from, for sure. So. All right, I guess we can move on then. Let's go to we've seen a lot of action. This is our favorite action beats from the first 3 episodes. And well, to be completely honest, there's not a lot of action in these first 3 episodes except for the big firefight at the end of 3. And we have the little bit of the beginning, which is more like the little interaction between Cassie and the 2 guards, which is kind of obviously the instigating event, the catalyst of the series. But beyond that, it's a lot more of a dramatic show. But when they cut loose, because that, I mean, I think it's easy to say that firefight at the end of the 3rd episode is where it's at. Great battle sequence, the warehouse fight, the street speeder chase, the cutting loose, the taking Cyril Karn, like not hostage necessarily, but knocking it. It is interesting that they don't kill Cyril Karn because Cassian already killed the guard. Cassian goes on to kill the rebellion guy in Rogue One. So it's not like he is hesitant to kill somebody. And Luthen even says, kill him. For some reason, they don't. And I don't know why that is. Besides the fact that it's plot armor and they want Cyril Karn to continue.
I think that's probably the reason they didn't kill him, for plot armor.
I almost feel like that was a little bit of a misstep. Every episode has them, but I feel like something should have happened where Cyril Karn got knocked out, and then like before they killed him, they had to flee or something. What was that?
I think it's the calm.
Yeah, maybe potentially could be it, but yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on there. That action was great. Had the blaster fights, the closing in of Moscan forces, the ship that came out when they tried to go in the air, and Brasso had attached the. I can't remember why they looked away. Somebody, was it Brasso or somebody else? I think somebody else who connected the Imperial ship to the large piece of
that is my scene a lot action moment is the Brasso putting the hook on the back of the Imperial shuttle and then just attaching it to the massive ass crane. I thought that was awesome.
Love that. And love Moss' response by the way too. Was that us? Is that them? That's coming from behind us. And all of a sudden he has that like look of horror. He's like, we're under siege. Oh my God, this is something. This is not. We are not the we are not the bullies anymore. Basically, we can't bully the situation. We're actually danger here at this point. We gotta go. We gotta go.
It was at this moment he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like oh boy. Good stuff though. Anything else specifically you wanted to touch base on action wise?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. Again, there wasn't a whole lot of action to it. Except for the big piece of action there. All right, I'll laugh it up, Fuzzball. Our comic moments of the week or the episodes. I don't think it's basically just go ahead. I'll let you go first on this one. I'll let you go first.
Tim dying was hilarious to me because he's a snitch and he had it coming. Snitches get stitches. Tim with 2 M's deserves to die because he snitched on Cassian. So I thought that was pretty satisfying and pretty hilarious. Everything B2, where he tells Cassian that he has enough energy to lie for him for a lie, and then Cassian says, "Tell mother this, and this," and then he just goes, "That's two lies." And then you have the dog peeing on him, and he shocks the dog, and then just rolls away. It's great.
The one that my specific ones, the last 2 are the ones you brought up, are my ones I noted down. Was that's 2 lies. The hound's peeing on it. He shocks the dog. Love that bit. Anything B2 does is good. And then, again, of course, for me, it was anything Mosk did as well. I don't want to overdo my talk on Mosk, but anytime he opens his mouth, I'm laughing my ass off at it. Tim Carlo dying, I will push back and say, I don't know if I was funny, but it was satisfying. It was satisfying.
Anytime a snitch dies, an angel gets its wings.
Satisfying. Funny, I don't know, but that's all right. Yeah, those are definitely my favorite humorous moments for sure. B2 is definitely the classiest of the most humorous creature we have. It was good to see him, by the way. He saw a brief bit of him in the special look.
Oh, is he in that? Okay,
very briefly. So we hadn't seen him in the first trailer. I was kind of like, he's not in that.
I was starting to worry.
Yeah, he was with Brasso, and he was actually potentially with a friend. It looked like there was another droid by his side, potentially similar kind of droid with him. So maybe it's a date. Maybe they're going to get together. Who knows? B2 emo. He's. I
just remember I remember messaging our friend Alex Damon being like, "Why is B2 not in the trailer? What is going on?"
I love it. All right. I guess the last thing we got to do then before. We'll talk about the rest. Let's rate the episodes. I did rate all 3 of them, like one by one for that. And then we can talk about anything else we might catch up on as far as that goes. We rate things on a scale of 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects. We always turn things up to 11. The first episode, I gave it a 7 out of 11.
Mm-hmm.
Second one, I gave an 8 out of 11.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, I gave a 10 out of 11.
Okay.
And what do you have?
I would go 8, 8, 9.
Okay, good. I will say the rewatch does improve things. I understand a little bit why people thought the beginning was slow, because it is a little slow. It's definitely a slow burn the first 2 episodes, because this drop is 2 episodes, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a slow burn to it. Like I said, there's not a lot of action to it. It's definitely a drawn out thing. However, what it does do is set the tone very properly of the oppressiveness of it, the almost claustrophobic feel of it, how we feel like just tight and hard. It's good. However, at the same time, it's like it are smaller episodes, and I found that I could do without the flashbacks to Kenari, minus the one when Marva finds him. I kind of felt that those slowed the episode down a little bit for me, as far as that goes.
Maybe the sister plot was the string to start that.
Yeah, that is kind of thing, and I guess maybe that's something that if there's a payoff in season 2 about the sister and Kenari, maybe that will retroactively kind of make that more important and more appointment viewing of the thing. But as of right now, I'm kind of like, I want to get to the stuff. Every time I went back to the present day, I was like, I'm all in. I want to see what Cassian is doing. Mm-hmm. I love his interactions with Brasso. I love his interactions with Bix. I love his interactions with Marva and
we haven't even talked about Bix this whole
talk about Bix episode. At all. And Bix is, oh my God, she is my girlfriend. She's definitely my girlfriend. I love her. She's a guy, the kind of person you want to be with. She's loyal to a fault. Even when,
I mean, unless you're Tim.
No, but even when Tim effed up, she was still she wasn't laughing when he died. She was traumatized. She hated it.
Cassian Andor is the guy you tell your boyfriend not to worry about.
That's very true. That's very true. And Tim was definitely the boyfriend at that point. But Bix is very cool, very powerful, very funny. Not funny, but like she kind of got this like sense of there's a sense of like darkened whimsy about her. Like she'd be more whimsical if the oppressiveness wasn't so much.
If the world didn't suck.
Right, exactly. There's an energy there, I guess you could say, though. I love seeing that passion in her. She got a lot of passion in her. Marva, who I love, is again another one of those things. She's not exactly an A-list actor, but you're putting a very unknown actor, known from the Harry Potter series and a bunch of other things that she was in. Fiona Shaw, powerful actress, legend, and she does a great job with the role she's given, and she works it out very well. And you know what else we didn't talk about at all? Well, this could be me. I mentioned this off air to Maddie. I watched episode 4 yesterday as part of next week's thing. Dedra, and they didn't come until the 4th episode, right? Nothing from Dedra yet. They were in the 4th episode.
No, not yet.
Okay, just want to make sure. I don't want to start talking about that because I started watching that last night.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, yeah, no, Dedra's not.
The Imperial side of things. Okay, so you haven't seen the Imperial side of things yet. This is the Ferrex angle, as I call it. It's all the beginning parts of it. Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff, a lot of good setup, but I feel like it's a little bit of a necessary slow build to everything, and I think the rest of the show really kind of takes off as we start introducing the Imperial side of things. We start introducing Mon Mothma and that arc, which is always part of my favorite. I'm a big Mon Mothma fan. I'm fascinated by her story.
For a little bit.
We do lose Mosk for a little bit. That's to its detriment. Mosk actually, again, no joke aside, Mosk is very necessary in this first 3 episodes.
It really is.
He adds that just enough levity and just enough kind of like intrigue. He's got the energy to kind of keep the energy up, because the oppressiveness can kind of get slow burn. It can kind of get, it can almost get like kind of slowing the pace. It kind of feels like you feel oppressed at this point. Having the energy that Moss gives lets you kind of have something to gravitate towards energy wise. Even if you don't like him, you don't agree with him necessarily, but like
the reaction that you gave is just like, this guy.
All right, so let's talk real quick. We had anything else we had to talk about there? Okay, so we go through the strip club moment, which is kind of cool. It was a great beginning to the show because the show is exactly where we were. We had the fascist guards, the police force. We had Cassidy Andor, the down and out scum rat that they're gonna throw themselves at, and but you have the moment when they bit off more than they can chew. The bullies bit off more than they can chew, and what happens? Boom, dead. We have Cassian killing the guy, just like in Rogue One. That was almost like a repeat of Rogue One. Point blank range. We're just gonna kill this guy. I remember watching Rogue One the first time, which we're gonna get into eventually after Andor season 2. We're gonna do that rewatch finally. Man, that was a big shock to the audience, like, because Cassian was already too. So he's our rebellion guy. He's our guy. He's our good guy. Boom, killed. You're like, oh, that. Even though it's a similar kind of thing, and obviously the bad guy is more of an easier kill than a fellow spy or rebellion guy, but overall, it's a good thing overall.
Like you said, he's done terrible things for the rebellion.
Yeah, he does, and he always has, and he always will until the end of Scarif. Ferrex is a nice place to introduce to. It's got a nice setting wise for us. It's got the very much a down to earth, salt of the earth kind of vibe. Definitely, again, feeling that light oppression. It's great seeing what happens with the Corsac guys. Like, they're the local government, and they think they're the big fish in the little pond. Obviously, we know it's coming up. This is a rewatch. How the Imperials eventually start taking over. It's like, oh, you didn't know how good you had it.
You didn't know?
Your ass better call somebody.
I tell you one bit I did love that we forgot to mention was the bit on the bus with Luthen and the guy.
Oh yeah, that guy. Y'all know that guy, the guy that wants to talk to you on public transportation. The guy that's like he just talks to people. He loves talking. He loves people.
One of my pet hates.
The salesman.
One of my absolute pet hates is like if I'm on a train going into the city and like it's an empty carriage, that person that has to come and sit opposite you or has to come and sit next to you just so they can talk to you. I'm like, buddy, there is a whole carriage here. You could have sit literally anywhere. You can see I have my headphones on that I don't want to be bothered. What are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not a big. I like to be when I travel, put my headphones on, face down. And you know what? I know some people are like that. Some people love being out there and talking to people of the world. And you know what? That's a way to live, and that's what you like, and that's what you like. But yeah, don't talk to me unless I know you too well, because I don't want to talk to you. Generally speaking, I want to sit down, put music on, my podcast on, and look out the window and contemplate life. I don't have enough time in my life when I get to actually be alone with my thoughts. So let me do that. Let me be alone with my thoughts. But it is fun to see that guy Luthen basically being like us, Luthen, like, yeah, cool. I did love that bit though. That's good. What else we got? Anything else specifically about this episode that was memorable that we should touch base on?
Oh, the saying that Cassian was from Fest as a cover-up. I thought that was a nice little way to get around that.
Yeah. Yeah, now I remember before, like, the encyclopedia said he was from Fest and everything else, and now it's like, oh yeah, he said he was from Fest.
Yeah, it's like Canary. I'm pretty sure he was from Fest, and then it's like Marvel's like, no, we always said that you were from Fest. I'm like,
right.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This is what I'm saying about like the sister thing. Like, there's those little things that Tony Gilroy is like, all right, there's that. We've said this. We should probably
either it's Tony Gilroy or it's like the other Lucasfilm story group called Tony Gilroy too at that point as well, which is good. That's the proper usage of the Star Wars story group. They're not there to write your story, but they are there to help you balance the story and to, like, eventually, as we'll see, fill up Luthen's shop with very interesting trinkets that we can go, oh, look at that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Gar stones.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Indy's whip.
These whip, that's right. That's good stuff. All right, I think that should probably do it. I think at this point, anything else you want to mention? It's a very introductory 3-episode arc. We have the big action piece, which is going to reset as we go on. At the end of the episode, Cassian does make it off Ferrix with Luthen. I mean, you're going to see what the next part of the rebellion brings. Ferrix is left a little shaken. Tim Carlo dead. Bix not exactly happy. And Marvin not exactly happy.
Not very happy when I see Tim dead.
Of course, people have effed up, and we don't know what that's going to be like going on. And we know because we've seen it before, but at this time, we didn't really know what that meant, how the Imperial was going to get involved. And I remember being slightly annoyed, not the right word. I again, being a bit Mon Mothma fan, I knew Mon Mothma was in this series, and I knew there's only a certain amount of episodes. I was like, I didn't get to see Mon Mothma yet. Give me my Mon Mothma. But we get more of that next arc, as it will, which we're going to cover next week here on Holy Snokes. So, Maddie, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on social media everywhere at Matty Morner, and you can find me here every week for Holy Snokes and for Class Action once a month, which we should really figure out what the fuck we're going to do this month.
Yeah, we really do got to get on that, don't we? Paul and Spread the News on the old Blue Sky. That's where I like to hang out. Social media wise, you can find me all over this channel. I do a show with PJ Campbell, now named Two Middle-Aged Geeks on Film. We're no longer mediocre white guys. We are still middle-aged geeks.
Even though you're the only one that was probably born in the Middle Ages. True,
very true. PJ's a middle-aged soul, but that's how it works. We just finished the Nightmare on Elm Street saga this week. We're going to go into Superman on our next episode, and a nice little precursor. If you want to join our Patreon at patreon.com/PLD Projects, that's where two middle-aged geeks are going to do their MCU rewatch starting next week. We're going to start with Iron Man 2008, and we're going to go through all of Phase 1. That's Patreon exclusive and YouTube member exclusive for at least a little while, and eventually they'll find their way to the channel as like a fill-in arc or whatever when we need to take a break or something. But we will get there eventually. But got a lot of stuff coming on there. We got my Crown Jewels podcast, my Weekly Queen podcast I do on the sister YouTube channel, but also on the audio feed. Class Action, like Maddie said, we got to get a hold of that and figure out what we're going to do. I do a review with Lego where we talk about the sci-fi franchise V, my other favorite sci-fi franchise in the universe. You can join Patreon. That's great. If you can't, I completely understand it, but you can help us out still by fighting the evil algorithm. We got
the channel as a channel member. If you can't join us on Patreon, join us as a channel member.
Yep. And get you also can do you can subscribe, you can leave comments, you can share, you can leave like 5-star reviews on the audio. It does help us out tremendously. I really appreciate that, guys. I think that should do it. We will see you next week here on Holy Snow, where we talk about the second arc of Andor, it's the Aldani arc. It's the heist arc, as we
my personal favorite arc.
Is it? Okay, fair
Mhm.
enough. I think the prison arc is probably mine, but Aldani is pretty close, I'm gonna say. So
After watching The Bear, this is Aldani is my favorite arc.
getting to rewatch this is good. Yes, I do want to see the after watching The Bear as well. I kind of come back and like I said, I watched the episode 4 yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, that's that guy. It's
Richie.
It's Richie. I was expecting to say cuz and make me a good sandwich, but that's next week. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Stay safe, everybody. Bye now.
May the force be with you always.